Uh, yeah, we are live. Hello, everyone. So today, firstly, good afternoon, good evening from India, and today we have a session with Vishwash on Databricks. So, firstly, we should wait for our vlogs to join. Till then, I will be telling you more about me and Vishwash and the Azure developer community. So, I am Ilse Jain, and I am a Azure developer community organizer of Jaipur. And currently, I am pursuing my engineering, and I love to contribute in open source. Like to go in hackathons and do so. And Vishwash is also a Azure developer community organizer, and he's a really very expert in Azure, and he will be telling you in a very nice manner today about the Databricks.
Yeah. Hey
So
folks, I think you can share my screen.
I am firstly sharing my screen to tell about Azure developer community.
Yeah, you can do that. Oh, yeah.
I think okay. Wait a minute. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So, folks, this is the Azure Developer Community website. I will be putting this link in the comment sections and in live chat. Sorry. So, Azure Community is a new community which is founded in January, and we have more than 8,000 plus members in our community. So, basically, we focus more on the Azure and Azure tools. So if you want to join our community, you can become a organizer. You can, if you want to be a speaker, you can sign up from here. We basically focus on learn and networking with many of the people and upskill your uh, in community. So these all our sessions. These all are the places where we are, where our groups are. You can join your nearby place. Here we have given all the places where our community is now. So yeah, these all are our community organizer speakers, and yes. So I would request Vishwas to start with the session.
Yes, I think can you share my screen? You already
Yeah,
shared the
your
screen,
screen
right?
is visible. Yeah.
Yeah, folks. I am Vishwas Narayan. I'm no big of an expert in Azure, but I try to do whatever I can do. Like I'm also a learning kid, so simple as that. So I'm no big deal. But like, let me just say what. But I love different platforms. I love different learning that happens to me. So this is where I'll be starting my series of different cloud platforms and also other things. And also there is also an ML Flow and a Spark ML session. So here I'll be actually introducing you guys about Spark ML and things like that. And last time when you can go and click here on the notebooks, it will direct you to this URL. And if you guys can go there, this is the basic of what your Databricks is all about, and your entire uh, Databricks stands on one thing, that is Spark, where your installation hassle is nowhere here. And also, trust me, there are hundreds of places where you can go down and get this. So this this notebook will be live very soon, but a lot of things were there, and this is actually downloaded as an HTML. So simple command, you can run this command and you can have your own Dockerized version of the Jupyter notebook which has PySpark in it. And installation of PySpark or Spark ecosystem on your local environment is very tough. Think about installing it on Spark on the cloud, which has a lot of instances, right? So this is where Databricks comes into the picture, and this is where you have this flexibility of getting what are the potential of the Spark on a distributed system. And your Azure Databricks is also favorable, not just favorable. Databricks is actually used for ETL. So your Azure Databricks ETL is something which is more involved in the industry today, because every data engineer also has to deploy a solution that he has designed, right? So this is where all of these comes into the picture. And if you just it's still the same thing. You can have an integration with PySpark, you can have R, SQL, Scala, Python as your programming languages, and I'll be also showing about this Azure environment that we'll be working on. And also, it's actually a website written by me, so you can contact me here on the same website here. And I am a podcaster where I also do a lot of things, so you guys can follow me there. So let me just give you this quick intro of like this thing called as case studies from Microsoft. Microsoft has an amazing set of case studies. I think it's a very long link, so don't worry about that. So it has all the things. It's in language is English, and the Databricks platforms is already done. And if you think of the best Databricks platform that you can think about, the analytics and how are these, so Azure Cognitive Services, Cosmos DB, Data Lake Storage, Databricks, Event Hubs, there are hundreds of things which pops up, and I think this is in German, but make sure that you translate it to English and you start seeing it. So this is one of the best case studies. Watch all the case studies. Just go here, search something called as Bosch. Sorry, I think it came in German side. So yeah, fine. Bosch uses IoT Hub and everything. So you guys can see that you guys have to literally understand how is this IoT Hub data being transferred onto the Databricks. It's still the same things which are happening in this notebook itself. Whatever I showed in the same notebook, it's still the same notebook where every data is coming up and sitting down on your SQL DB or a DB. And that is what happens in your Power BI also. I think I have not shared my entire screen. We'll see. I'll just share my entire screen. So make sure that you reshare it once again. So I'll
Yes.
yes. I think I shared it like this. This is what your Power BI looks like. I'll let it boot
I
up.
think
Let
now it's
it boot
visible.
up. Yeah, it's visible. Wait, I'll show you what. This Power BI has to boot up for a while. It takes time. Really takes time. But that's all. A lot of things are done. So I think you guys got this case studies, right? Case studies are amazing. So just go and study that. And I think Bosch has an amazing case study for Databricks. And I think Rolls Royce has an amazing one. Adidas has very good case study actually. Adidas actually has an hybrid cloud model. So you guys can go and check out what is happening there in the Adidas case study as well. I think that's the better way. And there are coagulation of hundreds and hundreds of suppliers from different like cloud service providers and things like that. So you guys can actually, I would love to say you guys have to go for the shell. Shell is actually an amazing case study. If you guys can study this Shell's case study, I think perfect one, perfect one. You guys have to just study that how they are monetizing it, see how they are just using the leveraging the computer vision aspects inside and the things like that. And a lot of other case studies, man. If you just go and I can say you some, but not everything. So wait, let this. I think this has boot up. Oh Lord. By the end of the day, it's one of the demo that I wrote for some other webinar, and I think these are some of the best dashboards that I can do over a little point of time, and I think I can share you some more. Actually, I think this is the best. This is the wage and the revenue. I actually took the data from the Kaggle and I started plotting this. And I think there is one more case study. So all of this, right? When you think of this data, there's an SQL server, everything that pops up here is still being functioned there. So if you're a non-coder, you can still use Power BI, connect the Databricks also if you have a developer in your team or things like that. And a lot of things, man, a lot of things. You can go to a web, you can actually get the data set. And I'll also be showing you one of that example as well. So let me just give all the things that I have done till now. So Power BI, quick intro. Yeah, that's what it is. And Rolls Royce has an amazing case study. Go watch this. Amazing case studies actually. And let me just give you that quick intro of why, if anybody wants to enter Waterloo University, here you have what happening with the Waterloo University. So yes, and also this is Yamaha's case study. Amazing actually. I would never accept if you don't read this. Please go and read this amazing case study, by the way. So, I was learning more about the Spark ML, the distributed system, and how is this data platform going on, ML ops, AI ops, right? So, I came across this person, an amazing person for case studies. If you guys want to read his paper, go read all his papers. But this is where I always do. MML is where I am more focusing on in today's demo. So I think this is the one paper. This is one paper I wanted to show, because everything is a form of a table, still uses the cognitive toolkit, still has an Onyx model deployed on it, and this is how efficient they are going to have this architecture deployed onto one part of the system. So you need not have to really go to the complexity of understanding Spark ML and everything. MML Spark has given you everything. So this is where your MML Spark infrastructure comes into the picture. So what you saw, Shell's OpenCV is still being leveraged using this. So different languages also come up because there are different abstraction layers, because one layer is written on C++, one layer is .NET, right? So everything is an API now. API will be called. What is API? It's a leg of an entire architecture. So this was just introduction. I'll not be doing computer vision because it's very tough to do a computer vision project on a data break, because I could not even do a CSV within one day. Like yesterday, I tried doing it, but like if I had some more time, I could have done that. But I tried doing some more actually. So the same paper with a different infrastructure given here, and if you see here, there is AKS, ACS, Azure Kubernetes Service, Azure Container Instances, Container Services, Google Kubernetes Engine, and on-premises. So this is where your hybrid model comes into the picture. Let me just say, I have a company which is doing multi-trillion-dollar company. Fine. So what you have is your customer bases in different regions, and you want to give them the same experience as it happens in their local system. Like there is 5G entering, and there is a lot of data which gets stashed onto a system. You don't want it to break, right? So what you do is you take hybrid cloud model where you have different cloud models coming up into the picture, and everything is packaged as a container, or else it will be a serverless component. So what you do is you have all these things. So database will be always being interacting. There is a data engineering team which will be going towards their favorite tools like Zeppelin. I think I should show you what is Zeppelin is all about. Zeppelin is some amazing toolkit. So if you guys want to learn it, probably there will be a next session which will be using Zeppelin and everything. So they do have why there is a need for a Zeppelin and things like that. You guys can go there. Zeppelin and Databricks. Actually, this is actually what I wanted to do. So Zeppelin is an amazing tool. If you guys can go there, check this out. Actually, this is one of the talk which triggered me to learn Databricks. So I think I'll share the video URL. So yes, so perfect. Let's just move on with the other papers. So all the papers are from the Mark Hamilton itself. So the link has been shared. So let's don't worry about it. So explaining all that, so let's just come to the hero of the show. That is my GitHub, which has, oh no, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. GitHub, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where is the CSV data? Last updated was the CSV data, and there are some more actually. So I've taken the Schema India data set where I've tried to analyze, okay, this is what happens. And I was actually thinking of let's just import some new stuff and let's just start working on it. The same thing, lesser amount of data sets, and we are just working on the same things but different matrices, how to transform it, and things like that. So let me just directly jump into the notebook. So this is how your notebook looks like. Don't worry, it's pretty easy to understand. Let me just give you a quick intro of what it is all about. So let me just start by creating a Databricks notebook. You understood why there is a requirement, right? So don't worry if you find it little confusing. just make sure that you write all the points. That's what I also did in my young age. So I'm still in a pay-as-you-go model. So Azure Databricks demo, I would say go for a trial premium of 14 days. DB use in Databricks is something which is more common. So Databrick units is somewhere you are getting one entire Databrick workspace for free. And this is actually the best part about your DBUs that you are working on in the future. So you want to understand what is a DBU. DBU is something which is like a computer which is just thrown to you, and you can do whatever you want, and you can install as many components you want, which is available in that Databricks unit. So that is what a DBU is all about. Okay, so trial, review and create. I think. Oh, sorry. I think I have to. Which was data breaks demo one. We don't have to give a space. I can give it underscore. Works perfect. So review and create. What happens is it starts creating. It does all the things, all the magic that it happens. So as soon as you click onto this, it will be created like this, and this is what it is all about. So this entire workspace is where you will be working on. So you can click on this, you directly will be going to the Azure Databricks workload, and you can click on this. And funny part about this is it has AutoML, which is also there in Databricks. So these are the kind of technologies that we really want to mesmerized with. Like, I'm not even joking. So understanding what a Spark workload is something which is unbelievably horrible. Like, there are different frameworks. God knows on which framework you're training the entire model, right? So when you think of this quick access and all these, I think AutoML is something which is booming these days. I think if you're a commerce guy, if you want to really understand what is this all about, so you guys can check it out. So what I did was I just had this raw format and I took it as an URL and I pasted it for the pandas reading. So let me just give you a quick walkthrough of what is this entire workspace and things like that. So there is, if you are in a community version, you will only get the data science and engineering. But if you are in a paid version, like whatever I'm doing, also in the free trial, also you get the same machine learning. You can go for a quick access. You get all these notebooks to be created. AutoML starter guide is actually amazing here. So you guys can click on this. So there is one entire notebook which comes up which says, okay, this is what your ML flow is all about. This is how your plots are and everything. So this is what it is. So I think next session I'll be probably, yeah, next session I'll be doing on the same ML flow and the AutoML part. So don't worry about that. We'll cover that also. So there are some reference solutions where it's already been done from your Azure team. So you guys can go here, build a server, start working on it. So whatever I talked in the world of microservices and the serverless pops up here. And when you go for this, all right, let's not touch machine learning. Let's just touch only Databricks for your ML platform. So this is how your environment looks. Simple, as easy as your AutoML, Azure ML in your Azure workloads. So if you go to the workspace, these are the create notebooks, different languages will be available for you and things like that. And these are the repos. I'll say why this repo is important and things like that. If you go and search, let me just say ML quick start something, see it popped up. So this is what they are. And if you can go create your own data set, I'll be showing this also. Don't worry about that. This is what very important. You can go here, click on the cluster, give it any name as thing. There is a cluster mode which is standard. High concurrency is where you're actually looking for no breakage at all. Like every time when you have something like petaflops of data, you want to really process it, high concurrency is the best. But single nodes are also used. I think if you're a startup, you can really go and use single nodes, and they're pretty amazing actually. So startup, and you can go for any of the installations. So extended support, long-term supports, and ML can also be there. ML beta will have an ML flow, and light is basically used for your what do you call as You can think of this function as edge deployments. So that can also be used, and all the things can be leveraged here. So jobs are something which are run when you are thinking of deploying as in bucketing of the data. Wait, I'll say bucketing of the data. So the bucketing of the data is something not that way. What is bucketing? So this is what your bucketing is all about. So you're actually taking chunks and chunks of time intervals. You're throwing in the data into the model. You're doing it. So this is where your things are. So I think, no offense, it's an amazing plot by the way. So before we do all that, let's just go for the basics of it, because Azure Databricks has a huge infrastructure which is behind all this compute. Like, you can think of other cloud providers providing the same thing, but Azure Databricks is more easy because there is an integration with Data Factory. Azure. So all the things what you saw as an ETL pipeline is basically extract, transform, load, and everything sits down at the end of the day as a Jupyter notebook. And this is actually a Terraform, not Terraform, Azure Databricks notebook. I could say Pulumi also, so don't worry. So what you can do is I can show you how to create a notebook, compute cluster, and I think I showed you how to create this compute cluster. Done. How to create a data set? Simple as that. Go to this. You have four options. DBFS is basically Databricks file system. So DBFS in Databricks. So Databricks file system is something which is very optimized for your Databricks workload itself. Like I can say you like the compression of this CSV files, and if you are throwing in a JSON values or things like that, this is one of the key factors in analyzing what is this technology all about. And this is also very cool when you're doing some deployments, because your deployments has to be like, your let me just open easydev.community website. As soon as we open it, it has to come up like this. I know there are some errors and issues because of this. Your web insights. Insights is actually insights are about website. So you guys can go here, put anything. Why is there an lag in all the performance? You guys can see this. So page speed insights works fine. So you guys can go and check out what it is all about. So this is where your DBFS comes into the picture. It's a file system where there is an default directory of file store, and there are plots. Whatever the plots you do in this notebook, right, will be saved here, and also that cell will have one hash value, and these are some of the hash values that are being generated randomly, and this is unique. And probably a plot will have another hash value, a kind of a thing like that. So I can't say this as an hash value, but it's a generated unique code. Simple as that. So shared uploads, here they are. So you can see, okay, I have done this diabetes.csv, that I'll be showing what is that data set all about. So when I created the tables through this is where they come and sit as tables. So what you can do is create table, upload the file, or else you can do the DBFS. What you can do is you can go to the user. There's an Hive. I should explain Hive in Databricks. So Databricks is something cool. So Hive table is something which has all SQL based stashes coming in order, and this is actually a semi-structured way of annotating your data. So I'll be also showing what is this Hive system in that part also. So simple SQL itself, there's no complexity of dealing with what is this, what is that. Simple as that. So you guys can go here, go to this DBFS, there is an tables, and it will obviously be created because you are the authorized person. So you guys can go here, check the schema in your data set, and this will have another extension out to it. So you can go to this script, or else you can go to this create table UI. You will have it here down. It takes some time to load, but everything is awesome with this Databricks. So I can say this is your go-to model for your Databricks. So you need not have to worry about how to install Spark on every time. what configuration tool can we use and things like that. Why is it taking so much time, man? It's already there. Fine, fine. So you guys can check out. This will be creating a new notebook, and this will be that file path and things like that. So that's it. This is your data breaks and things like what it is all about. And when you want to create a new, I would say, a new space on a notebook. Simple as that. What you have to do is you can go to the new notebook, print out some values, something like a common thing, and you have Scala. If you want to learn Scala, actually use the community version. You don't have to install. Else there is a lot of other online IDEs, and I have created a lot of other computes as well. So I think 42 gigs lot. Okay, I think I should say what is this DBR all about. I think if it's not visible for you guys, but okay. So DBR in Databricks. Say DBR is basically Databricks runtime where it's allocating. Okay, it's taking a compute and it's controlling it. That's what it is doing. No complexity of okay, this is what that system. Because you're an engineer who will be using this. This is what DBR is all about. So after doing that, click on create. It will create it, and that compute cluster. When you go here, sometimes it will not start. What you have to do is there will, instead of restart, there'll be something called a start cluster. You guys can go there, start this cluster. Everything will be awesome. So web terminal will also pop up, but I don't want that hassle of doing it, so I am just leaving it all together. So simple introduction. PySpark is actually based on the SQL reads. Like sequential query language is where you are actually taking in this entire chunk of data, putting it back inside a data frame. Like I can say something like this. You have tons and tons of data right now, and you want to really analyze what is happening here. So what happens is in SQL, it's very RAM optimized. Like you can optimize the working of the RAM and the things like that. So everything will be fine and tuned. And afterwards, when you think of this entire file system, that's what I showed, right? The file store, it will be in the tables folder. Then I have this train tweets value. If you want, I can show you this here. So it's here, right? So let's just go for this dbfs file store. Shared uploads actually doesn't give you, but it's in tables and tweets. This is where your data set comes into the picture. Let's just go back to the workspace. Where are you? Here. So everything is done. And what you have is a print schema. If you think of schema in a database, in data warehouse, DBMS or something, so a schema is a logical description of the entire database. Like this data has to go and sit here. This data has to come here. The data has to be fetched from here. So your schema is something which says, okay, this is how your database needs to work. And this is where your Azure database comes into the picture, where you can integrate it with blob storage, data factory. You can also use the Cosmos DB, anything. It will still have a JSON file format, and that will be your schema, which will say, okay, this is what this function is, and you will be giving some authorizations and the things like that. So I think this UI is something which says, okay, this is how much work your Spark cluster has done. This is how much data is flowing in and out of this Spark cluster. If you have connected any Databricks or Cosmos DB, this is what you will see. And also, I think everything came into picture here, and all the cells will have one compute unit. So if you can go type the same at the end, it will show the same result. Since I had already done this like an hours before, so this is not giving you that hassle of doing all the things. I think my screen is visible, right? It's a little
It's
small and
visible, Vishwas.
yeah, yeah. I
We
think
can do one thing that we can
it's the
we
same.
should not show our face and we should show only the screen.
Yeah, yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
full
done
screen.
that.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, and also when you look at Spark jobs, right? Spark jobs is basically describing what is happening at every stage. Your Spark will entirely be that one cell of yours that is being executed, and that will be like your RAM. It is just going and storing in one memory location, right? So it's optimizing it, securing it in such a way that nothing will interact with it. So this is where your Spark data types comes into the picture in amazing way. I think this is something cool. And when you think of this Spark with column renamed and new name and things like that, so there is two, three. It's actually the sentiments of all these. So medium, all these things comes up. So if you want to get this tweets data set in for sentiment analysis, you guys can go here for 140 data sets are here. I don't know what is this all about. There are amazing set of data set. Like if you can look at this, like I don't know, I didn't take this, but I don't know where did I get it actually, but I got it somehow. Yeah, and you can think of print schema. It's saying okay, a root is basically a function which is actually handling all of these. And if you want some basic intro, I think you guys can go to this notebook that I will be sharing. This notebook, where are you? So Databricks to web.app. So this will be saying from basics. So you guys can go there, check out, okay, this is what is happening and things like that. So you guys can look at, okay, the schema has been allocated. Okay, every column, what I showed here for your entire PMA India data set is being taken here, and it's running and it's perfect that it's showing all the things that have been there here. And if you guys can click on this, you can see okay, I have done only 20 rows. Top 20 rows has been shown. If you do the same thing as in head in the pandas, it will only show you 5 rows, and you can still write okay, number of rows is equal to 10 or 20. It will show you that many amount of rows. And if you guys can go here and check out what is this data set with the PySpark. Okay, this is what they are. And every time you want to see, okay, there are some missing data here and there. Okay, there are some zeros, nans, and things like that, right? So what I did was there's a PySpark ml.feature.imputers. So imputers in PySpark here. So when you go for this, you get to know, okay, this is where your model is. So if there is a nan value or a zero value, which has some correlation, right? So that correlation will be automatically mapped. And if you go for the imputers and sklearn, so what they're doing is the same, but your sklearn is more optimized for pandas workload. So what happens is your Spark is actually an SQL type read, and I can show you how this read happens. So this is where your data sets are with the right stream for cache and everything will be there. So there are a lot of things, man. There are a lot of integrations which you can think of. File sync is what I showed there. So Kafka sync is basically, I'll say what. Let me say you have a cloud cluster and you have an entire database which only does collection of the data. But after some time you get irritated about it and you say, hey, let's not do it. We are just storing in data then processing it, right? Let's just do a real-time training. And what you do is you queue those messages as an MQ values, and you have some graph databases and things like that. What you do is simple as that. You just queue it in such a way that it's been organized now, and you just throw it into a machine learning neural network or some algorithm which churns that data and gives you some decision. So this is where your Kafka comes into the picture. So don't worry. What I'm doing is I've taken 3 values of insulin, a BMI, body mass index, and the age. Insulin value is unique because every person, I'm saying for a person because at every time, okay, if he eats the food, after eating the food, before eating the food, there are different values for it. So let's not talk the biology of it. Let's just solve the problem statement. there are some subject matter experts outside this. So what happens is, for every time that I am actually doing this, so what it is doing is it's just formatting to see for what reason. So there is a for loop which says that, hey, for C in insulin, BMI, and age, set a strategy of median. So what it is happening is, there are some zero values, right? Here and there are some zero values in insulin and things like that. What it's doing is, it's basically comparing every little chunk of data that has been thrown here right now through the Spark data read CSV function here, which where I can show you. It's here. So wait, it's very tough with this zoomed up effect. So spark.read CSV, it's now as in Spark file system. So Spark data file system, DBFS. So it will be sitting in one DBFS and saying, hey, look at this. This is what it is happening. Yeah. Okay, fine. Thought somebody had a question. So you guys have to ask some questions. So what's happening here is, it's basically comparing all these and it's saying, okay, there is lot and lot of things which are coming up. So above data will be correlated and there will be a median for it, and that median will be added here. So there are zeros and there are other values which are missing, it will be added. So when you saw this, right, so this is where your BMI was 0 and it's been 33.6, and these are some pretty good amazing imputed values. So imputation is basically, I can say you the imputation in science. Computation is there where you are optimizing this much amount of RAM, this much amount of hard disk, and things like that. So this is where imputation is, just replacing the missing data with some manipulation. So there's the word, you can't say manipulation, but okay, you're imputing it. So in layman terms, it's manipulation. Got it? So whenever there is a zero, it's not been imputed because I didn't take the thickness of the skin as one of the parameters to impute. So thickness of the skin can't be zero, and everybody has a thickness. And if your thickness is zero, I think probably you're not paper thin skin. You're actually having a disease which can be unsolved. I can't say about that. There was a person who did a world record as an Paralympian because all this fat that gets stored under the skin, right, was not getting stored under the skin. It was in his bloodstream. So it's a condition which was so worse. And there is a case study about him. Go and study that. I'm very sorry for saying a lot of case studies, man. Sorry for it. My life is filled with reading some or the other things every single day. So what I have to see is, okay, now I want to see all the things that is there in this data frames, and I have to filter it using this data frame, which has, oh, sorry for that. All right. So filter function popped up, right? So let me just, if I run it, it will not show me any error. Yes, it didn't show me any error. It was stored in the Spark jobs. So this is where your Spark jobs and the Spark clusters comes into the picture. So if there are some BMIs which are less than 20, right? So there were some zeros, 19.9, 19.4, and things like that. So they popped up here. So these are the amount of data sets were found in the entire data cluster which was seen. So I actually want to say you something. This imputation was done on a data set which is very small, which is like that data set which was very smallly taken into the consideration. So I think when you think of the other imputers, this algorithm is pretty amazing. I think you guys have to try this Spark ML imputers, PySpark ML imputers. So it's still the same commands. It's showing me the same thing. It's imputing. Okay, it's actually, this actually is a very good function. Actually, I'll show you what. This way, it's reading a diabetes 2. I just loaded the same data frame, and I just wanted to show. Even if you loaded the same data set, there will be a different tags that will be added next to it so that it remains unique. Because sometimes when you are in a very huge production system, there are data sets which are still repeating, but they are still unique. So I think Databricks has something which is huge demand for this reason itself. So group by BMI, which is an average value, and it's showing me, okay, this is what it is all about. Sorry, I actually zoomed in, so I think it's got mushy here. Sorry for that. So when you think of such kind of jobs which have been created and all these things which have come up, so average values of each things that has been shown here is being considered, and it's taking, okay, this is what it is all about. If you want some more insights about this data set, wait, I can share you some links which told me, okay, this is what is this data set is all about, and this is the amount of research which is happening here. So I think I shared one link. This has all the papers on PIMA India. And wait, this is actually very shocking to me. Like, he wrote a paper using this data set. I don't know how he wrote, but pretty good paper, amazing paper. Read it. It says PIMA India, by the way. So, PIMA India, diabetes data set, and how they have done the classification and everything. So, it's still here. So, you guys can look at, if you guys want to really write the paper, this is where your motivation starts. So, plasma glucose value, okay. If you think of plasma glucose is basically it's measured in milligrams per all these units, and how much is the glucose level which is being seen on every samples. Basically they start comparing what has been thrown in the sample which has been there. That's it. So they start comparing with it the same old methods that you still use, like if this is equal to x, y is equal to what, the same things. So substitution method, that's what they call. So group by the same thing. So it's basically going with the count. So the diabetes pedigree is actually something which is there. So how many times there is an sort of a count which is happening. So this is where the diabetes pedigree of the same values are coming up and saying, okay, this is where they are. So it's being grouped up and it's being thrown out now. And if you store it in A, right? Let me just say I wrote it as A. And now if I write A here, it's still, sorry, too many cells, number of cells. Sorry for that. So this will be an entire value which will be sitting on a Spark environment. So this will never pop up because it's not being told, okay, this is Spark job which has been running and what's the actual potential of this in using the compute. And that environment information will be removed and you'll not be able to see this and things like that. So let's just talk less about this ML part and let's just go on with this. So there's a regressor, there's an interpreted part, and if you see that, so regression is what I applied. So if you can see here, Spark ML session, and there was a regression which was going on here about the same small data set that we are working on. What you can do is you can still take the same data set that I'll be throwing in through the GitHub link. So it's there in my GitHub. So you guys can go there, check out my GitHub. Where is my GitHub? I forgot that. CSV. That's it. So if you guys can see here, this is my GitHub. So you guys can go here and check out. This is what I'm doing. Fine. Perfect then. So there's a vector assembly which is saying, okay, you have to vectorize it to some quantized state. Like let me say you are in diabetes, so it's 1 and 0. And now every feature can't sit as a huge bulky data set, right? So this is where your vector assembly comes into the picture. Vector assembly in Databricks. So your vectorized engines and everything. I think this actually is a very good talk. I heard the talk and it's amazing. They have given you every little insights about this entire data set. So you guys can go there, check out not this data set, entire data set that you can look at, an CSV or an image data set also. In some talks, they have even talked about image data set as well.
Vishwas, sorry for stopping. Actually, whatever links you are putting in this private chat. So many of the links I have already posted, but not. Yeah, he was posting in.
I can't put it in the comment section. That's the problem here.
Okay,
See,
okay,
even I
okay.
can't. put it in the comment section. So that's why it's in the private chat.
Okay, okay, sure. Then I'm putting all that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's where we all do that. So now everything is an output and everything pops up and says that, hey, this is what you are doing. So make sure that, okay, this is where you are taking some training data, testing data, and you are actually doing some regression, right? So what you're doing is you're vectorizing some parameters like age and the blood pressure, because I saw, wait, I'll show you with that paper itself. Where is this paper? I lost that paper. Yeah, even in this data also they have tried using the same methodology used. So they have applied machine learning, there's KNN, logistic, naive based classifier, and things like that. What they have done is they have taken two parameters, like these are very dependent, like plus plasma, blood plasma, and the other factor like insulin. And then they have taken result. What is that? Diabetic or non-diabetic? Diabetic means 1, non-diabetic is 0. So all the things what I did was I just vectorized it. So whatever I have as an pedigree is being vectorized to this, and all these are coming up here. What you see is diabetes 1 and 0 and independent features that were always being seen. That's what I mapped it, right? Age, blood pressure, these will be the independent features and these will be popping up here. So I think blood pressure and diabetes has its own funda. If you are like a guy like me and I'm 95 kilos, I'm 95 kilos by the way, and I have a bulky body and my heart has to pump blood. So what it has to do is it has to beat faster. And that's where my body will be getting that reception of the oxygen level and things like that, right? What your diabetes glucose does is it has ample amount of oxygen, so it requires some more oxygens to be on its bond. Okay, C6H12O6 glucose structure. And when the oxygen is less, heart really knows, okay, this is where your entire body is not that active. So what it does is it reduces that beats also. So if you have too much amount of glucose in your body and if you have less amount of oxygen, you have this low BP. So anybody suffering from lower blood pressure, this is what your reason is all about. So if you're in a place which has less amount of oxygen, where more amount of carbon dioxide is there, you are most likely to suffer from low blood pressure. So this is where PIMA India data set is also giving me a lot of insights about. So I always work on all these, so that's what it is all about. So I've taken a regression model. So there's a linear regression and there is a random split of 75 and 25. I'll say what train and test data has to be there from the same data set. So what you have taken from the finalized data, which is the independent feature in the diabetes, will be taken into two parts, where training will have 75% of entire data set, testing will have 25%. You can do something called as validation, but by writing this I was so frustrated. I don't know how I can do the other things, because Spark documentation is pretty amazing, but when you're working on this kind of an environment where I too am a fresher, and a lot of things can go wrong, where probably sometimes I was not able to get the file store values and things like that. So that's where I'll also be giving you an insight about how to connect your DevOps. If you're doing on a local environment, you need DevOps. If you're doing on an environment like this, DevOps is not at all required at all. So it will be a overhead for you if you link it. I want to just exit. Sorry for that. So, oh, this is the problem with Databricks, man. Any Databricks platform, it's the same thing. When you go for this revision version and things like that, it again goes back to the same above. So, I took the same linear regression. If you really understand what is this linear regression paper archive, if you guys can go here, this is an amazing paper actually. So, wait, not this, not this. It was 2015. I still remember. Still 2015 code. 15 something code was there. I don't know. Where is this? Truthful linear regression. Actually, this paper actually gives you a lot of insights about what is this linear regression and things like that. So you guys can go there, check out what this link is all about. So, simple intro, what a linear regression online. You can go for teachable machines, Google neural networks. What else? Anything? Regression online demo. So anything like you can change some values. You can think of okay, this is what they are, and anytime when you change some values here, it will start working as a different one. So this used to work. I know what's happening. GeoGebra. No. There it was another one. It was a different one. Where is that? All right, run simulation and all these. If I get it, I'll put it in the comment section afterwards. I'm not getting it now. Or Shoulder? It used to give for Canon actually. Shoulder actually had a Canon. Okay, wait, Justin Johnson, right? Justin Johnson, Stanford, uh, TensorFlow, JS. There was a demo done from this person actually. Mm, ECS. He's also a lecturer in University of Michigan, and he also is the PhD student under a teacher called as Fei Li. Amazing computer vision researcher. You have to search her. I am not getting where his demo is actually. He's also one of the prime contributors for your PyTorch. You can check out his link. Okay, I if I get that, I'll put it in the comment section down after the session. So don't worry. So train data set, test data set, there is a finalized data set which is being randomly split into 75% and 25% of train and a test. And regressor.fit is where you are actually calling that entire architecture of linear regression, which is programmed as a function inside the SparkML regression module. And you are saying, okay, boss, this is where the train data set is there. Try to understand it. So this is where your train data set comes and sits. So I think probably if you think of any other things, actually you can go put this on any CSV files. It still works the same way, and it's an amazing way to understand how this SQL is being leveraged using PySpark and Python. Check it out actually. So regression is there. Some predictions have come up. So two means non-diabetic, one is diabetic, and the prediction is basically saying it's the confidence that it has in order to understand. Okay, this is what how much my regressor that I trained is confident enough to understand. Okay, this is where it is. And if you want some more intro, I can give about this bar chart. Let me just say you something. Now I have this data frame. Now I have to just call this one function, and this starts working absolutely fine. So still has the same Jupyter notebook characteristics. You can still run the same bash commands and things like that. And you need not have to write code for different plots. You can't do a map because there is no values which are saying okay, this is what is this plot has some here, and you can go for my this was what being shown. And if you go for histogram, but it appears small, but this is pretty cool. So BMI and other plots have the same values. So plasma glucose, average BMI, and it's showing values for your average BMI values and things like that. So this is what it is. So density of it is saying that okay, this is how much the value is varying. Anybody does stocks here? Like anybody who does stocks or something, like you should be knowing it. Oh, stacked 100%. Let's not do some more manipulations because it's so complex afterwards. Keys and average plasma. So let's not do that. Keys will be here. So for everything, it's being shown here. Oh, did I do anything wrong? Oh man, for every plasma glucose, and it needs to save, right? Apply, and it's being applied. So this is how you leverage everything. So you have the easy visualization. You can store this as an CSV, or else you can still save it as an image. So wait, that option is not here. Where is this? It went off. What is wrong with this? Fine. If you, oh, since it's an entire value which has been sitting here, I think everything has its own function now here. So if you think, okay, at this point, what is happening and what are the values? I think that's where it's not coming. If it's other plots are there where you can easily download it and visualize it on your local system. So if you see something like this, see, this is what it is. So since it was a very interactive one, so that's why it didn't come up. And I'm sorry to show you some of the worst practices on your this one, because since that data frame, everything what I read was very hefty. What I did was I just had this raw data which is still there in my GitHub. So if you guys can go here, my India data set, and what you can do is you can just throw it in as a raw data. You can just copy this, paste the same link. Whatever I paste it here is same. But in Spark, that's the worst part because it does not affect anything which is not stored locally. Like it has no effect on it. If there is an HTTP format, it doesn't accept it. It throws you an error saying that hey, this file format is not being taken. This HTTP is not being considered here. So don't put such kind of data. So why I am showing you this? It's because it supports sklearn, and sklearn is also optimized for more of the Spark based workloads and the Spark based compute. So even though I'm doing pandas here, every instance will have a Spark based instances that will be giving some insights. I can show you how. Add a new dashboard or something. You guys can go do that. Simple as that. You have to click this graph wala part in this thing, and you will have a dashboard. It will come and say, hey, this is what Vishwas did in his production system, and he has gained this many insights on this platform. So this is where it comes, and these are some of the imports that I did. df.head, it's still the same. It's loading, it's very, you can schedule when you want to take, what you want to take, and things like that. And it's the same old function, so you can go describe all the things, and hey, this is what your data set is all about, and blah blah blah. All the things has been told here. And this is the histogram plot which says about each and every matrices that I'm considering to picture. So df.hist is one function which is already there in the pandas, so you guys can go check out. I'll show you hist and pandas. So it's the same. So the same thing, whatever I did here, it's been here. So now if you go for the same old approaches where I am using sklearn, and I'm taking this data frame, now it's a Spark workload and it has no jobs. To be very frank here, there is no jobs written here. You know why? Because even though there is an Spark which is running, which is optimized for all these algorithms, when the data frame that has been read from your CSV file is not being stored in a right format, this is what happens. There'll be no jobs that will save any insights. And this is what it is. So whatever I had last time, this is what it is. So if you are an something I can say Power BI developer, you can export it as an HTML or a DBC archive. Source file also can be taken. So this is an py file, which I'll show you how it looks. See, everything that I had in my notebook is here. So df.hint, everything has come up here. So it's the same thing that you're actually trying to understand. Okay, this is what it is. So you can think of some DBCs. IPython is still the same. If you take it as an HTML, I'll show you how the HTML will be available also. So it's not running as a job here. It's running as a compute here. So sklearn properties will be optimized, but never this data frames, because it is just using the compute. So why I'm saying is Spark and this compute, because see, now this is a very small data set, probably 1 MB. I don't know how much it is. But when you think of a company which is storing lot of data set, like gigabytes and terabytes of data every second, this is not a very optimal way of getting your compute optimized. And PySpark is something which has a file system, which has an entire compute organized as one cluster, and every process has happened there. And this is where you leverage this pandas. So this is what I showed was a linear regression. Here I'll be showing some KNN algorithms. So there are confusion matrix for it. So this is Gaussian naive Bayesian. Wait, I'll show you. Gaussian naive Bayes classifier from Python from scratch. If you just look at that, let me just show you in the documentation of sklearn. This is fine, but this article is fine, but I wanted to show you with this sklearn. It's a very pretty hefty documentation, so you can see how it is all about. So when you think of these kind of data frames, I think probably this is showing true positives, true negative. It's like he's diabetic, but it's showing non-diabetic. He's diabetic and he's diabetic. He's not diabetic, but yet diabetic is these cases. He's non-diabetic and non-diabetic is these cases. So just keep it as simple as that. Zero always falls in the diabetic case, and one always falls in the non-diabetic. Zero non-diabetic, one diabetic. Lot of jargons, man. That's it, folks. I don't think there is anything to say. It's all the same function, the same thing that I was showing here. And if you want this bar graphs comes here, and you can start working on, hey, this is what it is. So you can think of this other average BMIs. You can think of other properties that you want to really see. Everything will be shown here, and it's a pretty amazing tool. And do explore it, and it's a go-to one. I think I'll show you the community version of community dot uh, data breaks. This is where you get an access for a free compute. It's free actually. Whatever I'm showing here is also can be done using the free compute, but the problem is the compute cluster initialization takes a lot of time. But if you're patient, you guys can go there and check out this. So yes, folks, that's it from my side. I think there are no links that I wanted to share here. Perfect. I think all the links, all the papers that I wanted to, yeah, everything has been shared. So yes, no other things to be done. So that's it from my side, folks. So thank you so much. Any questions, queries, comments? Critics are also accepted here.
So yeah, Vishwas, that was really you explained it very well, and I think uh, our participants have also understand a clear concept about the database. And I will request you all that we are coming up with a new session with Vishwas on logic
Logic
apps
apps.
logic apps
Yeah.
on 28. So you should join that session, and it will be having amazing fun and new insights. You will be learning more new things.
Yeah, I think all the links has been shared. If possible, we'll just
Yeah,
copy the same link and we'll just put it in the comment section.
I have shared almost link. You can yeah.
Yeah. But I'll share it in the comment section afterwards in the this one. And as promised, I'll give you that online one which I was looking for. It's short
Else
answer
I can
board.
do one thing that I can put in description box. You can send me all the
Yeah.
links, and I will be putting in the description.
Sure. I'll share it in the WhatsApp.
Yeah,
Perfect then.
and
That's
afterwards I
it,
will be put.
folks. Yeah, that's it from my side, folks. Nothing much. So thank you so much, guys. Oh wait, I will say don't end the broadcast, please.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, I'm not done.
I didn't show
No, no,
how to
I'm.
export I didn't show how to export this one. Wait, you go to the files here, export. You get
Wait,
this
wait.
HTML.
Yeah, because
Okay,
the
now
screen
it's
was not sharing. Now it's shared.
yeah. Now it's shared, right? Export. export here. You can download it as an HTML. It comes in as an HTML file. What you can do is you can go here, open this. Whatever that I showed here will be in the form of an HTML and will be there in this website. Where did I go wrong with this website? This website, the Databricks Vishwas.web.app. In the notebook section, there will be some subsection will be done, and I'll be doing it as soon as possible, folks. Sorry for my laziness, but I'll be doing it as quick as possible. Promise from my side. So you guys can import it afterwards by using your Databricks or something. Everything will be fine. Sure, guys. That's it. Nothing
Yeah.
more to be shared.
Yes. So thank you, Vishwash, and you all can connect with me and Vishwash on LinkedIn. Vishwash, can you let me find your ID?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I
So you
think
can
too many tabs, man. I don't know how many links I have shared. But sorry if you guys have missed anything. Please do come reach out to me back.
yeah, you can reach on with Vishwash on LinkedIn, or else I will be putting in description box so you can check it from there as
Yeah. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you so much. Meet you on 28th. Actually, 21st, we have one more session. So, yeah.
well. Okay. On topic.
On this custom vision. Custom vision.
Oh, great.
So, yeah. That's it. Yeah, you can end the
Uh,
broadcast.
yeah. Thank you, Vishwash. Thank
Yeah,
you, folks.
perfect.